Hello everybody, welcome to Art Regner's video blog. I know it's been a while. I've been out of town for a few days and have not checked in. And since that time, the Detroit Tigers have clinched the American League Central and are going to be in the playoffs for the 14th time in their 111-year history. The Tigers are in the playoffs, and the first time that they're in back-to-back playoff years since the 30s. I think something like 70 years or something like that. Anyway, it's been a while since they've done it back-to-back. Congratulations to the Tigers. Now, many people today are expecting me to make some sort of apologetic video blog telling you, the fans, and telling the Detroit Tigers that I'm sorry that for weeks I was saying that they weren't going to do it. Well, first and foremost, I was wrong, and I'm certainly big enough to admit that. I did not think the Tigers were going to do it. I didn't think the bottom of their lineup was going to hit often enough and deliver. I thought there was too much pressure on Austin Jackson, Miguel Cabrera, Prince Fielder, and the starting staff to actually get things done. Hey, they did. So, as I said, congratulations, and I'm glad I was wrong. Even when I was stating that they weren't going to make the playoffs, I kept saying over and over, I hope that I was wrong. Now, one thing that we can talk about, the most consistent team in the AL Central over the last 3 weeks or so has been the Chicago White Sox, who have dropped whatever it is now, 12 out of 14 games or something like that. So Chicago did not get the job done in the end, and you can imagine being a White Sox fan how you're feeling about your team. However, they did overachieve. The Chicago White Sox did, and made it a race till the end. Now, I know that Jim Leyland has talked about the Tigers did not underachieve this year because they made their goal and won the American League Central, and that's what they were supposed to do. Well, I guess maybe it's semantics or maybe it's just me, but the way I look at it, it shouldn't have been this difficult for the Detroit Tigers. They were by far the best team in the American League Central. They're really one of the best teams in the entire American League, if you really look at it, or they should be. So I do think that they made it hard on themselves, but they were able to get the job done. Now, I want to stress something here because I find this funny. As the Tigers were going on their charge to win the American League Central, I was emailed, I had people calling me on my voicemail, and people who were meeting me on the street just kept saying, "Oh, are you getting ready to apologize? Are you getting ready to apologize?" Well, as I said, first and foremost, I shouldn't have to apologize for my opinion. I truly felt that way, and I thought the way the Tigers were playing, if it wasn't for inconsistency, they wouldn't be consistent at all. So, again, I'm glad that they made it. Now, the reason I'm really glad that they made it, and I want to show you a picture here, is because of this gentleman right here. Let me see. There you go. That is my grandfather. This picture was taken, I guess, a few weeks or so after he immigrated from Greece over to the United States. My grandfather lived with me until he passed away when I was in 8th grade. He was the biggest baseball fan you have ever met. He loved baseball, he loved the Tigers, and he hated the Yankees. And I've always said this, I think he actually learned how to speak English by listening to the Tigers on the radio. So my point being is that I'm a guy from Detroit. I have a great job where I'm in the Detroit media, and I try to be objective and I try to be honest, although, you know, may the best team win, I guess, is my motto. But my heart's always with the Detroit team, even the Lions, and we'll get into them at some later time. But my point being is that, especially baseball, reminds me of my grandfather, my father going to games. I used to go to a lot of games with my grandfather when it was like free bat day, free ball day, free batting helmet day, all the free days that they used to have way back when. He would always take me, and then anytime the Yankees were in, we would go to those games too because, as I said, he hated the Yankees. So my point being is this. Just because I'm being honest and I'm telling you that I don't think the Tigers are going to make the playoffs doesn't mean that I'm not a good person or I hate Detroit or I hate the Tigers. That's not the point at all, but I have to be honest and fair. And I really believe if Chicago didn't tank it here towards the end, that Game 162, which is being played tonight by the Tigers in Kansas City and by the White Sox in Chicago, could have been a huge game in Tiger history. As it is, it's not. So I guess all we have to do now is sit and watch Miguel Cabrera and his quest for the Triple Crown. I think he's going to win it. And will he win the MVP? I think this WAR statistic is a pile of junk because it's based on an unknown players. Who are these replacement players? How can you make a statistic like that? I think it's too much statistics. It's not enough reality. What I know is real is Miguel Cabrera is going to have the highest batting average, the most home runs, and the most runs batted in the American League this year. That is tangible. That is real. It's not some sort of WAR statistic. And it hasn't been done since Yaz did it, Carl Yastrzemski, back in 1967. I don't know. Call me an old-timer, and maybe because this gentleman here taught me what baseball was about. The Triple Crown means something to me. So congratulations, Miguel. You're a great player. Congratulations to the Tigers. And I was wrong. You proved me wrong. You made the playoffs. Good luck in the playoffs. I know USA Today came out and said that the Tigers have the best starting staff of any of the playoff teams in the American League, and maybe the best in baseball. So anything can happen. I do agree with Jim Leland, and I don't agree with him on many things, but I do agree with Jim Leland when he says the playoffs are a crapshoot. So I'll be video blogging after every Tiger game, and we'll be talking about Denard Robinson, Michigan State, a little bit about the Lions, even though they're in the bye week in the coming days. Until then, have a safe and pleasant one, everyone. I'm Art Regner. We'll see you later. Take care. Bye-bye.